Hi, I'm going to be doing a little video here about two different kinds of Trangia cold weather setups. I'm here in North Carolina in the mountains. It is about 5 degrees Fahrenheit. Both of these burners have been filled to this level and have sat out overnight, and when I checked the temperature about 3 o'clock in the morning, it was 3 degrees. So it's definitely been a cold night. The stove here on the left has the factory Trangia preheater set up. I've replaced the original fiberglass pad with some carbon felt pad. I'm going to try that out for the first time today. And in this burner, in follow-up to a few other different videos on YouTube, some people have filled the inside portion of the burner with carbon felt, but they have filled it all the way up to the top, and they've mentioned that getting it to have a normal bloom is somewhat difficult. And my thinking is that the carbon felt cools off the upper part of the burner too much to allow it to bloom quickly. So what I have done on this one is I've only filled the burner up with carbon felt to this level, to the fill level that Trangia recommends, about 3/4 full. Now again, this burner has been setting out all night in the cold, well below freezing. So is this one. So the way you use the factory setup is you take a few drops out of your burner, drop it on the pad, oops, and then you hook this back onto the bottom of the burner. Oops. You can see how it's kind of hooked onto the bottom of the burner, and that goes in, and then you light it. So I'm going to try doing that. Now this is the factory plate for a winter setup. And the good thing about this is it helps support it on the snow. Kind of acts as a heat shield, heat reflector, and it's kind of nice. You can piece together a kit off at the bottom. I think you'll be able to see that. You can't see it burning in there. I hope, maybe. You can see the carbon felt's getting a little bit red, so it's definitely heating up. So then you put that in. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see the fuel getting warmer. I can definitely feel the heat rising up off of that. We'll give that a couple seconds to warm up. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see, there's a little bit of steam coming off the fuel right now. Let me see if I can get another match lit here. That's definitely going. It's definitely going. Yep. I know it's really hard to see alcohol flames when it's light outside, but I'm pretty sure you can see it. And that bloomed pretty darn quickly. That bloomed really darn quickly, especially for sitting outside all night. And like I say, it was 4 or 5 degrees when I checked the weather. So there you can kind of get the general idea of how the preheater works. And I'm going to extinguish that one here. And that's kind of it for that part of this video. Alright, on to part 2, where Gonna see how having the Trangia burner filled up about 3/4 of the way full with carbon felt, wicking, and alcohol. See if that's going to actually instantly light rather than having a preheater cup heat the fuel. So, gonna light a match here. We're gonna see how that works. Yep, that's definitely already burning. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the windscreen back on. Maybe you'll be able to see it. But that was definitely instant lighting. And again, this burner sat out all night. When I checked the temperature in the middle of the night, it was 3 degrees Fahrenheit. There was no preheating done to this stove. And like I said, the carbon felt acted like a wick, and it pretty much lit instantly. Now I'm going to see how long it takes for this to bloom. I have my thoughts about why some other people with carbon felt in their Trangia burners aren't having rapid bloom occur. So we'll just keep an eye on this and see what happens. Yeah, you can maybe see a little bit better there. Now it's already starting to bloom a little bit. You get the little Trangia pop right there. And it's coming out the burner holes for sure. Now what I'm going to do with this particular one is I'm going to take a Trangia kettle. By the way, this is a 27 series, so it's the smaller size. And I'm going to fill the tea kettle with some snow here. And depending on how patient I am, I might let this get to a boil. But again, this showed that the carbon fiber, or not carbon fiber, but carbon felt wick up to the burn, to the fill level of the Trangia burner, not only allowed for immediate starting in well below freezing temperatures, but it also allowed the bloom to occur pretty darn quickly. So let's see if the snow is doing anything in here. Well, it's melting pretty good. I'll get some more snow put in there. Just a second here. Nothing more exciting than watching snow melt in the water. But, you know, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Okay. Now again, it's about 5 degrees Fahrenheit out here. It's awfully darn chilly. And it was even colder overnight, so hopefully this is a relatively unbiased test as to how these things work in the cold. We'll see how much fuel remains. I don't know if, I mean, obviously with the carbon felt in there, you're not going to be able to see how much fuel is in there, but depending on how long it takes for this to get to warmed up temperature, you know, I might be able to feel how heavy the burner is afterwards. I'm not sure. But you can see this, it's definitely melting the snow. There's definitely heat going on. Let's see how the flame's looking. Yep. It's in bloom. You know, flames are coming out the burner holes, not out of the middle. And the snow is melting inside the tea kettle. I think probably after this little batch of snow, you'll see how long it takes for it to get boiling here. It's about kettle's about half full now, which would be good enough for a small to medium cup of tea or cup of coffee or something, good enough to get you something in the morning. So, get that going around. Alright, we'll get the lid back on. We'll switch back over here again. Now this is the factory Trangia preheat setup, and depending on how my editing goes, a couple drops on the preheater pad allowed this stove to light pretty much instantly after sitting out overnight in very, very cold temperatures. And take the preheater off again so you can see what it looks like. It's a little brass cup, and I replaced the original fiberglass pad with a carbon felt pad. That seemed to work pretty darn well. Get some of that water off there. Alrighty, so let's come back over here. See how this is moving along here. Just about all the snow is melted inside. Can definitely feel a lot of heat coming out the side. Maybe you can see some of the steam rising off the side of the tea kettle. So there's kind of the overview of the Trangia plate that you can use as part of the winter setup. Now this plate, as you can see, the 27 fits inside of the plate. On a 25, you flip the plate over, and the edge of the 25 fits on this lip right here. So it's kind of ingenious that they made it to work on both the 25 and the 27 series. So whichever one you're using, you can use the plate as a support in the snow. So like I said, the 27 fits inside of it pretty well. Let's see what's going on in here. I see a lot of steam coming off. Can't imagine it's close to boiling yet, but there's a few bubbles sort of starting, but that's obviously not a boil. So hopefully this shows how well denatured alcohol in a Trangia burner in the freezing cold, how well it works and how easily it can start with a couple different methods. The carbon felt is going to add a little bit of weight to the stove, but I mean it's very minimal. And I was actually kind of surprised at how it immediately lit off without any preheating at all, just touching the match to the carbon felt with the fuel in it, and it was going. And I was kind of happy with how quickly the factory preheater worked too. That worked out really well too. So I don't think I'll have any concerns about using this in colder weather. I think my main concern would be fuel consumption, but I don't go on long enough trips to really be concerned about that, so taking either a half liter or a liter of fuel should be more than plenty for the kind of camping I'm able to do right now. So let's look in there. Starting to steam up pretty good. Now, as I mentioned before, if you are interested in piecing together an original preheater setup, which includes this preheater and this plate, if you go on certain websites, you can find this piece for about $8, give or take. You can find the plate for about $5, give or take. And depending on if you're buying other things from certain websites, you can get thrown in with free shipping, so you'd have about, less than $15 into the original factory Trangia setup. If you buy the whole kit through Trangia or through one of their suppliers, the kit is about $30. Now, I think the kit comes with a burner, but if you already have a burner, you don't really need that stuff. Now, I hope you can see there's two pretty distinct lines on the side of that burner, and that's where the factory setup clips into. Now, I think this is already boiling. Now, that's a pretty good rolling boil, and I mean, granted, it's only about a half of a tea kettle, but I mean, that didn't take more than, I don't know, 5 minutes maybe, which I don't think is all that terrible. So I'm going to set that off in the snow. I'm going to put this flame out here. Now, if you notice, this is the kind of the early 70s style burner that doesn't have the separate simmer ring. Like, that's a later simmer ring right here. So on this particular one, you need to use the cap, take the O-ring out, put it on, flame out. And that's pretty much it. So I think the Trangia did pretty well in the cold weather with denatured alcohol and a little bit of preheating using a couple different methods. So enjoy and have a great day.